Hi, and welcome to our webinar on zero emissions shipping. The ocean industries are what matters along the long Norwegian coast. And Greater Bergen has a strategic position on the west coast of Norway. The ocean, with shipping, seafood and energy production, has always been important businesses in this region. This will be a live webinar, and we have a great program for you today. We will be looking into the shipping industry and how far some of the players have come in developing new zero emissions energy systems for ships. We believe Norway is at the forefront of this development. Right now, there are lots of projects going on to develop the best new solutions. For example, the whole Norwegian ferry fleet will soon be electric. Another example is the Norwegian Ship Owners Association. They have set an ambitious goal to be carbon neutral in 2050. We believe that companies that want to be part of this evolution of the shipping industry should look to our region. Invest in Bergen is the official investment promotion agency in the region, and we would be happy to assist you in getting to know the region and the possibilities here. Today, you will meet 3 interesting companies that are dedicated to different zero emissions solutions. You will also see where these developments are taking us. If you want to send us questions to the speakers or to us, please feel free to send an email to post@investinbergen.no. We will follow you up after this webinar and answer your questions. But before we go ahead, please have a look at this. The first speaker today is Geir Odland from NCE Maritime Cleantech. This cluster organization uses Norwegian maritime expertise built up over generation as a springboard to develop new energy efficient and environmentally friendly technologies. They are partner in several projects to create new zero emissions solutions. We are looking forward to hear about the new projects you are working with. So please welcome Geir Odland.
Thank you, Invest in Bergen, for inviting us to this webinar. And also giving us this huge challenge to try to answer the question, how do you achieve zero emissions in the shipping industry? I said this is a huge challenge to answer, but it's also a very important question. But as many questions, there is no obvious answer to this per today. Most likely there are several answers, no single correct answer. Lowering greenhouse gas emissions and pollution caused by maritime transport is a major undertaking. And as you know, the United Nations International Maritime Organization is looking to halve the emissions by 2050. This will require new technology, a lot of innovation, and large quanta of renewable fuels. Ships that will sail in 2030 and later on is on the drawing table today, and we need to act now. 2020 is the start of an extremely important decade in this respect. 80 to 90% of the world's trade is transported by water, and maritime climate action begins with solving the issues with ships' consumptions and fuels. To meet the climate targets set for the shipping, we must first look at the energy efficiency of the vessels. And there are a number of ways in which emissions can be reduced and cut, but they need to be implemented also in practice, not only on the drawing table. So there is a very important element in this. Technology and innovation provide opportunity for overcoming the challenges. We know where we are going, but we still don't know how we will get there. That is maybe one of our expressions. And the picture maybe indicate that there is a possibility to reach the goal, but you have to pass a few smaller islands in order to get there. Several options are on the table for the ship owners. And the question today is, what solutions should they choose to ensure that they are not stuck with stranded assets in 10 years and later? The big challenge still, when looking for a non-fossil zero emissions and sustainable energy source, as we must urgently now do, it's difficult to see the obvious silver bullet today. The change in the shipping industry is facing the change the shipping industry is facing is often compared to the shift from sail to steam in the 1800s. It's a comprehensive and a complex issue, which in our opinion has one very important precondition for success, and that's cooperation through the entire value chain. This is the reason why I have brought up overview all our cluster companies and cluster members, approximately 120 companies that are capable of doing their in this change. And we think that cooperation is the key to achieve this, to reach these climate targets. And we now see that companies and organizations are seeking together in cooperation at a level and a speed we hardly ever have seen before. This is probably, but it's also a big and a huge job and a huge task that is to be completed. Also, this infrastructure that is going to be in place needs to be built in order to incorporate new fuels to more than just for the maritime industry. It must be for several industries. The future energy mix will not only be one fuel, it will be several fuels and solutions adapted to the vessel types or maybe the sailing distance. Examples of 3 ongoing projects that aims to test and demonstrate 3 promising fuels that are high on the shipping agenda, that is batteries, hydrogen and ammonia. And I will now try to describe a little bit about each of these projects. These technologies can deliver the IMO targets, and we have a possibility to reach the 1.5 target, but only with strongly enforced policies aimed at delivering strengthened nationally determined contributions. This is the TRAM project, an EU project, where we aim to do the construction with standardized components that is possible to reuse. It's also a modular concept, so it's possible to build one unit at one yard and another unit at a different one, and then you complete it later on at one specific yard. This is inspired by the car industry and maybe also the aviation industry, and one of the main players here has long experience from the car industry, which is a company, Fraunhofer in Germany. And they bring to the discussion views that has not been very traditional in the shipbuilding industry. In this project, there is going to be built a physical demo vessel in Stavanger, which is a high-speed passenger ferry, which will be fueled by batteries. There is also 2 studies going on for the similar vessel type in London and Belgium. And this project has a budget for around 12 million euros. So it's quite an expensive project. The next project is the Flagships project. Flagships is 2 hydrogen ships, which is built to illustrate the business viability and promote social acceptability of zero-emission shipping based on hydrogen and fuel cells. The aim is to raise the global readiness level of hydrogen-powered zero-emission waterborne transport. Here we also have one of the ships going to be in the Stavanger area, the so-called Hjelmeland ferry. And this should be on hydrogen, fueled by hydrogen. A total of 1 megawatt fuel cell power is going to be installed on these 2 ships altogether, where we have 600 kilowatts fuel cell power in the ferry and 400 kilowatt in the push boat in Lyon. We are also part of a project led by BKK in Bergen, also with Equinor, Norled, Air Liquide, and several other major partners, where hydrogen to be available. This project is funded by Sparebank Invest and Pilot E, and it aims to establish complete value chain from production, storage and transport for the use of specific ship. The plan is that liquid hydrogen should become available for commercial shipping within Q4 in 2024. We are dependent on large amounts of renewable energy to reach the 2050 targets. And consequently, we need quick transitions from fossil fuel to renewable fuels all over the world. And bringing up the green hydrogen supply chain in Norway, we enable more ships to use this fuel. We also contribute to important industrial development for companies at the west coast of Norway. But that's not the main issue. Surveys shown on the market large enough to defend an establishment of 1 to 2 large hydrogen plants in the county of Hordaland, renamed to Vestland. We also are involved in a project with the name of Ship FC. This was launched in January 2020. This is an offshore vessel from the shipping owner Eidesvik that will be rebuilt and installed with a 2 megawatt fuel cell, which should be fueled by ammonia. So the vessel with this energy system can go without emissions. The ammonia should be green. The project will make a large energy demanding vessel that go long distances emission free. The project has received 100 million NOK from the EU, and the industry with Equinor in lead has contributed with additional 130 million NOK. So that the project has a total budget of 230 million NOK. Obtaining private financing in addition to EU funding was crucial in order to realize this project. The conclusion is there is a huge need to test relevant replacement fuels in the nearest years to come. If we should be able to reach our goals, we must act now. The train is leaving the station as we speak. So summed up, all this testing is a major job. There is a lot of work that has to be done. Every country and all people are sitting in the same boat, and consequently there is only one way to cover all tasks that should be completed. That's cooperation on all levels, between continents and countries, and between companies and people. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for an interesting presentation, Geir. I have one question for you. There are so many solutions that are being tested today, and the really big thing is how could we get solutions that would suit international shipping vessels traveling over long distances? How do you regard possibilities for developing new solutions for these kinds of ships? Do you have anything you work on for that one, this one?
Well, we think that cooperation is very important in order to meet the targets set here, and because it's a big job. And personally, but I'm not alone. I have chosen to have an optimistic approach instead of being pessimistic. I think life is easier then. So I think that with all parties involved in trying to reach the goals from national level and with all politics and all organizations and to companies and people, I think there is a possibility to reach these goals. But of course, it's not done by itself. It's a lot of work. But there are so many projects going on. So as we say, we test with ammonia, we test with hydrogen, batteries, also combinations. And there is also other projects going on, like fueling doing some rebuild of today's engines and fueling them with, for instance, ammonia directly. And all this together, I think we have a possibility to reach the big goal. Also, from I think it was last year in Davos, where the World Economic had a meeting. I might remember wrong, but I think it was mentioned that there was a market for more than $1 trillion to reach this goal, and if with such a big amount of money, that's a big possibility for a big opportunity for countries and for companies. And based on this, I think there is a possibility to reach the goal. It's not easy, but there is a possibility. And as also said in at other times, that well, if you have a 50% reduction target to reach in 2050, if you end up with 45, it's not a failure. You are almost there. So it's just a little bit left. I think that approach is better than it is either black or white, if you understand what I mean.
That was really a positive answer, Geir. So thank you so much, and good luck with your future work. The next one we are meeting today is Geir Bjørkeli. He is the CEO in Corvus Energy. The company was established in Bergen in 2019, and Corvus is developing batteries for the shipping industries. They have delivered batteries for ferries, and now cruise liners are also on their customer list. The company moved its headquarters from Canada to Norway and Bergen because they saw great opportunities in batteries for ships in this region. Invest in Bergen was one of their assistants in the moving process. But how far can a battery take a ship? Please welcome Geir Bjørkeli, CEO of Corvus Energy. The floor is yours.
Takk for det, None. Thank you. How far can a battery take us? It's a good question, and of course we have just started that journey. We think we can bring batteries into many other applications, and we can also make those vessels sail longer than what we see today. A little bit about Corvus Energy. Founded in Vancouver, Canada in 2009, and as Tone correctly mentioned, we moved the headquarters to Norway. We are approximately 170 employees, with offices still in Vancouver, in Seattle, we have in Singapore, in Porsgrunn, Bergen, and also now a small office in Sørvika outside Ålesund. So we are growing and want to have a presence around the world as we grow the company. We are privately owned and very, very proud of the shareholder base. It is started with a Canadian investor who came in very early, 2009, 2010. BW Group, Bergen Worldwide, out of Norway, Singapore, came in 2013. With Equinor, that time Statoil, came in 2015. Norsk Hydro end of 2017. And also last summer, Shell came in as investors. We are very proud, and we have a strong shareholder group who are supporting us through the development. The team consists of superior battery knowledge, and with combining that with very strong maritime DNA. we get a very, very powerful team that focus very much on innovation. As a company now with 10 years experience and with a strong shareholder, we also have, of course, all quality and ISO system in place. Here you see a handful of pictures, and we are very proud of pioneering this business. And you see here from small electric fishing boat to Ampere, the mother of all electric ferries. And we see a fully electric tugboat currently operating in Istanbul. And we are having North Sea Giant, the first DP3 hybrid vessels. So you see it's a lot of first of, and you see the 86 vessel. And you see here also like the first hybrid tanker, Stenersen of Bergen. So you see a lot of this innovation, and the first of is related to being a member of this maritime cluster here on the west coast of Norway. You see the TK tankers being the greenest shuttle tanker in the world, and we have also batteries on drilling rigs for Odfjell Drilling here in Bergen. And the challenge for us is, of course, that the global maritime industry is polluting approximately 1,000 million tons of CO2, and we need to take that serious. And we think that by developing the battery products, we should be able to help the industry reducing this. And you can reduce a lot on many of the vessel types, and that is mainly because you have so bad energy systems on many of the sailing fleets, purely because that has not been the focus when those vessels were built, and that the industry is burning the leftover from the refinery process that nobody else can use. But very, we see that now when we're working with the ship owner, they all take this responsibility very seriously, and we have a lot of initiatives from different ship owner to come with new solutions to bring down the emissions. And of course, maybe here we bring in front of you maybe one of the worst pictures we can, but these are vessels burning enormous amount of fuel and have with a lot of emissions. So we think that we can reduce the global CO2 emission from the shipping by more than 75%. And of course, you see we have this 2080 challenge that 20% of the world shipping stands for 80% of the world total emission from the shipping. So we need to move from the ferries and the supply boats and the small boats in the fjords of Norway to the open oceans. And we are working every day to develop the product and finding solution together with the integrators and other makers, ship owners, designers, to find those solutions. And what is the key driver now for batteries on the world ocean fleet? It is technically proven. In the beginning, there was a lot of work to prove that the batteries were fit for purpose. And Corvus, we developed pure maritime battery. Those are tailor-made for maritime use and for that environment they're working. So now with more than 2.5 million running hours, we have proven that those batteries are technically trustworthy. We also, as mentioned, we have gathered a lot of operational data. More than 2.5 million running hours we have logged on batteries on soon 300 vessels around the world. So the owners and the charterer, they see that this is a solution that you can trust on. And another benefit that drive the use of battery is the cost. First of all, the fuel saving by using fully electric or hybrid vessels, but also the cost related to reduced running hours. In some of the applications, in typical DP mode, we see that the contribution for reduced maintenance is bigger than the contribution for saved fuel. So there are a lot of things to be saved by using the engines in a hybrid solution. Of course, we see the regulatory is coming with the different IMO regulations and with zero emission requirement in Norwegian fjords and from different ports around the world. And we think that it will be coming more and more of this regulation when the politicians and the regulators see that this is possible. But another force that is coming in lately, and that is much more difficult for if anybody want to stop this, is the social responsibility. With all the movements and all this, like Greta Thunberg and others, all the movements for a greener future, you can lobby against the IMO, you can lobby against the government for requirement, but you cannot lobby against what the people like to see. So I think especially you see that from the cruise industry, that for them now to go in and reduce their emission will be their license to operate. I don't think people will travel on vessels that are polluting those World Heritage fjords in the future. And especially if people get the alternatives, people will choose the green alternative. So that is now a big driver for the owners to adapt to a cleaner operation. We brought some of the examples also here to see that the savings both on maintenance and fuel, and of course a fully electric ferry. You have dramatically reduced the maintenance cost because you don't have any engines to maintain. Of course, fuel, you are on electric fuel. The CO2 emission, not 100% reduced because there is a kind of carbon footprint in average from when you're taking power for the grid. And of course, that's also reflect the NOx reductions. On the ferry side, we see that when you see in the press, most of the cost overrun there is related to the infrastructure on land, and we need to work on how we do the infrastructure on land. And I don't think it's fair that the ferry riders going to carry that cost alone on the ticket. There are a much smarter way to finance and to share the cost of the infrastructure for the car ferries. We have a lot of examples from the PSV fleet. Thanks very much to pioneers like Eidesvik and Østensjø. We have learned a lot on how they are savings. And we see also that the savings from transit, that the batteries is helping when engines are to avoid engines hunting because of torque variation from the waves is an additional savings that we didn't know about when we started this. We're also very proud that we see that almost every fishing vessel now, built by Norwegian and other international owners, have a battery on board. Because the fishing industry, they are living out of what they catch and they pay their own fuel. And when they install the batteries because they are saving fuel, saving maintenance, it's a real proof of this concept is the right for the future. And likewise, we are very proud, of course, of the big shuttle tankers from TK, which are now showing that you can save a lot also on the bigger vessels. And currently, we're also working with other operators on vessels like containers and bulk carriers and tankers to see how we can make hybrid propulsion system, saving a lot of fuel and emission in the future. In order to succeed there, of course, we have already been on a journey when it comes to R&D over the last 10 years. As mentioned earlier, the company started 2009, and to the left of this picture you see the first generation of batteries, which you see on board in like Ampere and some of the early adapters from the PSV. And you see in 2016 we launched the most selling maritime battery in the world, Orca Energy, and with the footprint already reduced by 50%, volume down 50, and the weight by 30. And also the price tag come dramatically down from the first one to the second one. And last year we launched what we call Blue Whale. That's a much bigger battery for those who want to sail much longer and bring much more energy with you. And again, another footprint reduction of 50%, a volume reduction of 50%, and a weight reduction. So we think that we need to, through product development, find a new solution for the different vessels. And our Chief Commercial Officer Halvard says is very correctly that you can drive Formula 1 car to the grocery store, but probably not the ideal. We also think that you need to find the right solution for the right purpose, and therefore we now have developed and will continue to develop the different battery for different applications. So we have now 7 different batteries, and you can see them here with the different characteristics from batteries who are carrying a lot of energy, like the Blue Whale, and to very high power battery like the Corvus Blue Marlin, that we launched the first commercial order to our friends in Japan, to Kawasaki, a few weeks back. That's a battery that we strongly believe can be used a lot in the oil and gas industry to recover the energy from, for example, from heave compensation, from big cranes, and from the drilling towers. And you see also here that with the Corvus Dolphin power and energy, we have a lightweight application that can be used now when we're going to move all the high-speed fast ferries over to zero emission. And we also have a few references on subsea batteries, and we think battery will play an important role when you're going to electrify the sea bottom. So again, it's not like one size fits all when it comes to battery, and we have currently 7 batteries in our portfolio and working on expanding that range to find the right solution for the right application. Here you see a few examples of what we have already, and I think that the H is showing that this is typical for a hybrid application, and the E is for electric application. So car ferries is proven to the world, and I think in Norway we're going to be up to 70 car ferries in total, but we see Denmark, Finland, Sweden, United States, Canada, all over the place now also electrifying, Holland, electrifying the car ferries. We see, I strongly believe in a lot of the tourist, the green tourist vessel. We see that you will have fully electric sizing vessel like we have with Brim for whale watching. I think that in the future that will be almost a requirement for the tourists, that when you're going to watch whales and other, say, protected animals, you're going to do that in the most environmental friendly way. Cruise, exploration cruises is almost become a standard to have batteries that you can operate in zero emission modes when you are into the fjords or some of the protected areas. Tugboats, of course, I show you a picture, the world first fully electric tugboats is there, and we have hybrid tugs also in the port of Luleå on a Robert Allen design with the system integration done by Wärtsilä. So what we see today is that every new building, every ship will have a battery installation one way or another, as a hybrid or as full electric. Here is an example for new vessel types. This is a tanker in Japan, fully electric. A little bit of a contradiction. Going to distribute fuel in Tokyo Bay, but I think even if distributing fuel, you can do that in zero emission mode. And we see that also that the vessel that typical here that operating in the harbor area and regional traffic can do that fully electric or in hybrid. And if you add on the fast ferries I already mentioned, fast ferries is a typical application both in a hybrid for boosting mode and in when you're slow steaming at that port. But as many of you know that we are having a tender now in Vestland on the west coast of Bergen for zero emission fast ferries, and those in some routes will be fully electric and some may be in hybrid together with hydrogen. And in those applications it's very important that you have a lightweight batteries, that you don't carry too much of weight when you're going to go on those fast ships. Yeah, as mentioned, the blue whale battery is an alternative for vessels, the smaller tankers that's going to operate in zero emission mode in daytime, where you can charge over nighttime. So it's going to bring a lot of energy. I think those Japanese tanker that you see there is around 5 to 7 megawatt in the current application, enough for them to sail and distribute the fuel in Tokyo Bay, and that could be an application also in many other ports where you are distributing fuel to the vessels. Another application that we see is coming is the ro packs. We also see that those vessels can operate in zero emission modes in port, and they also be in zero in port in maneuvering, but also they will be in hybrid mode while sailing. Another example that we are working on is container ships. We have one battery contract with Maersk as a test case, but we see container ships as a typical application where you can use batteries to also to reduce the installed power, because today normally you have a big main engines to reach contractual speed, which very often operates in a totally different speed and a totally different mode. And you have huge auxiliary plants, both to feed the reefer container, other auxiliaries, and the big boat thrusters. So very often those, and very seldom all those things needs to occur at the same time. So with a hybrid solution, you can both reduce the installed power, but also you can reduce the running hours and the fuel consumption dramatically on the container ships. We see also on LNG carriers, there's the same. You can have batteries for peak shaving on the auxiliary plant, and also very often a battery makes sense together with shore power. So that's a peak shaving, so you don't necessarily transfer a peak load over to the grid, and you can so you can use a much smaller shore connection and still have laying on shore power. And we see here on cruise, we see on the big cruise ships, we have several projects now for them being able to go on zero emission mode, or also so typical if they want to sail 5-6 hours on zero emission mode, or being in a port for 10 to 12 hours in zero emission, they need bigger battery packs, and we see that on retrofit, but also we're working on several new building projects with the huge cruise operators to get those installed. That was what I want to and plan to share with you today, and I thank you all for listening.
Yeah. Well, Geir, that was an impressive range of batteries for almost every ship.
Yeah, thank you.
So you chose to establish your company here in Bergen, but the company Corvus here in Bergen. Why was Bergen so natural? You're from this region, but why was it so natural for you to actually establish the company here? Is it something that's really good for you and your company here?
Yeah, the decision was made before I started from the shareholder that we need to be placed here, and I think it's very natural for us to be placed here. I mean, Bergen is the maritime capital of Norway, and for us to be a member of that maritime cluster, working closely with NC Maritime Cleantech, Norled, and other players, is very important for us to have this very close cooperation with those parties. To in a very often starting in a very informal way to discuss concept and develop those. So that you have this maritime cluster based on close relationships, trust, is very important for us. I think innovation takes place where people talk together freely.
So you think you have brought this Corvus and the battery even longer than you perhaps, I don't know if you hope to come as far as you have gotten today when you started up here?
No, yeah, I think we are very satisfied of the development, and for us also important to mention, of course, we have still more people in Vancouver, because Vancouver is a natural place for clean tech development. So a lot of the real battery experts and R&D guys still in Vancouver, but for us developing the application and working closely with the owners and to support them as Bergen is the place to be.
So nice. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. And the next one we are going to meet is Ivan Østvik. And now we are ready to hear more about hydrogen, because hydrogen is also very important for zero emissions. He's in charge of 2 hydrogen projects that Norled, his company, is developing right now. And Norled is one of Norway's largest ferry and express boat services. More than 80 vessels are under Norled umbrella. They are operating ferries and express boat services for all over coastal Norway. They have been in the forefront of developing new solutions for the fleet, and the company is famous for Ampere, as has been mentioned here several times today. Norled is now designing the world's first hydrogen ferry, and Ivan will tell us more about how these projects are developing. So please, Ivan Østvik.
Yes, Ivan Østvik from Norled here. Thank you for the invitation to speak, and I will show you a bit of what Norled is working on, and also some reference to projects in the past and in the future. So today we will go through a few things that has been also talked about in the here we are. Just a bit background on Norled. We have 57 car ferries operating in Norway, and well, this number is changing up and down a little bit. We're currently building around 16 new car ferries, and also in the fast ferries we have today operating 28. So in Norway we have some considerable operation all over the country, from Oslo in the east and up to Tromsø in the north. And as Geir and Corbus talked about, he called this the beginning, and yes, maybe this was the beginning of what we have seen in the revolution of electrical driven and battery powered ships. This was developed by Norled in the from 2012, and was put in operation in 2015, and is running very good on the Sognefjord in Norway today. It was mentioned by Geir in Corbus that the main operational problems with this ferry has been the charging system on land, which is causing the route to stop now and then, and this is also the case for several. So this infrastructure on land is certainly something to be focused upon when Corbus and are developing battery-driven ferries and our ships to other places. This here in Norway, this has led to a huge change. There's about 75 ships in operation or being built, and in 2022 the latest count is that there will be about 75 car ferries running on batteries. A huge portion of this is, I believe, is Corbus. Norled is using mostly Corbus for our developments now. We're building several new ferries using their technology, and not to miss that point. If Norled can use batteries for ferries and high-speed boats, we will do that, because the battery technology is super. The cost of energy in Norway is low, so this is our first option, to go for battery-driven ships 100%, and this we are quite comfortable with now. Of course, we're also putting the diesel generators inside these ships for say distance voyages and etc. as a backup. But in the long run, and for the next projects, and to go fully zero emission, where we need more power, either by size of the ferries or the distance that we need to sail or the speed we need to sail, then Norled is turning the eye to hydrogen. And we started a development project in 2017, and through a tender with the Norwegian Road Administration, we won the contract for what is called the Hjelmeland project, and we now named this hydrogen-driven ship Hydra, as you see in the slide. So after a tendering process, we signed the contract in January 2019, and we're now currently building this ship at the Bergen in Bergen, and we will have this the hydrogen version ship in operation by September next year. On this route, there will also be a battery-powered ship to sail in parallel on this route, and this will be in operation in April next year. So this project is being built. We are currently in the process of delivering the safety and the risk documents for the hydrogen version, and so things are actually real. It's a real project. It's not a paper project. So the ship you see in the slide there is about 82 meters long, can carry 299 passengers, around 10 knot service speed. I will not go into too much details. There may be people listening that know much more about this than me, but in general, we will have we will store liquid hydrogen on board in a large storage tank on the top deck. This liquid is contained safely and to a very low temperature. The storage system is designed and built and delivered by Linde Engineering in Germany, and we've been working closely with them for 3 years now to develop a system that will work operationally and not at least to be a safe system. This hydrogen is the liquid is being transformed to gaseous hydrogen containing around 10 degrees in the processing area in the middle of this the hydrogen area you see on the slide. So through a vaporizer, we take the liquid to gas and feed 2 fuel cells being delivered and developed by Ballard in Denmark. And the kind of a fun fact for this, the Ballard power systems located in Denmark and responsible for this contract and the development, they're also based in Vancouver originally, same as Corvus. So they take the fuel cell technology is developed in Vancouver, and then the assembly and development and maritime applications are being built and delivered from Denmark. So in the picture you see is what we call the hydrogen equipment room. We have 2 fuel cell modules placed there, both 200 kilowatt, and this will be the kind of the first in the kind fuel cells on such ships. So they are undergoing now a close safety evaluation by DNV and should be approved for maritime use later this year. The fuel cells, if you don't know anything about fuel cells, they use hydrogen to produce electricity. The electricity goes to the switchboard, and from the switchboard we run the propulsion on the ship. So in a way, a fuel cell has exactly the same working method as a battery. They're both delivering electricity to the switchboard. We see that it's always good to have a backup of battery to work together with a fuel cell. There are aspects such as startup and a few maneuvers when we need more power. Then we will supply battery electricity to join the fuel cell production of electricity. So even though if we go 100% hydrogen driven, we will always need some kind of batteries to support the fuel cells. So I will not go into the safety part of this of this system in this presentation. It requires much longer presentation than what I've been given. But basically, we are developing a system together with Linde and Ballard that will not have any emissions of hydrogen dispersion on the ship in a normal operation. All hydrogen dispersion or emissions, or what we should call it, will be taken from the system and out through the cold vent mast, basically, and to put the dispersion hydrogen to a safe place. So we have developed this closely with Linde now, and as I said, the safety documents are being delivered now to the Norwegian Maritime Administration as well as to DNV for a approval process for this. Then coming to the fuel supply or the hydrogen supply. Currently, there are no liquid hydrogen production in Norway and hardly in Europe. It's only a few places in Europe that are producing liquid hydrogen currently, and normally we believe that the liquid hydrogen is the best solution for ferries and also for long-term solutions in shipping. This is a discussion, of course, between the gaseous and the compressed hydrogen versus the liquid. But in terms of endurance and way to use the hydrogen on board, we all believe this is the best solution. So in the beginning, this is a pilot project. It's nearly a research project, but it will be built and operated ferries on hydrogen. So we are getting the hydrogen, liquid hydrogen from Europe. We take it with ship from Rotterdam to Stavanger, and then to Hjelmeland, which is close by Stavanger. A typical transport container takes 2.6 tons, so we will empty the whole container on board the ship. The ship capacity is approximately 4 tons. So, and what Geir Odland in Maritime Cleantech said, we participate in a project where there's an ambition to build a liquid hydrogen factory at Mongstad that will be in operation in 2024. So in 2024, then we have a wish to change the supply from say Europe to Mongstad for much less costly logistic solution. The picture bottom right, you see this is an illustration of the Norled bunkering method. This is the way we foresee to bunker or to move the liquid hydrogen from the container or the truck on board the ship. And this bunkering method, have not been done before, so we'll be doing a lot of risk analysis and assessment for this method, and we also need to develop the technology, the couplings, and the valve system, etc. And this is a process we do with the, as we call it in Norway, DSB, which is the land authorities that are giving approval to bunker hydrogen. So this is a separate project in the project to establish and develop and to have in operation and say a license to bunker. And then further, just to say it, the MF Hydra, the hydrogen ferry, it can also sail 100% on batteries. It can also sail 100% on hydrogen. So we have developed a hybrid ferry, which is a new kind of combination of hybridization between hydrogen and batteries, just to prove it and to show what the hydrogen technology can do, thinking about future projects. So regarding the battery charging, this is, well, I guess standard. This is the seamless charging system that you see is what Norled is putting on nearly all of the ferries that Norway will put in operation that are running on batteries. We have a few contracts different places in Norway, and as I said, we are building around 15 or 16 ferries now that will be all electric. And of course, all these ships have Corvus batteries. So. But then just to give you some insight into the difference and the potential with hydrogen, we are running this car ferry Hydra on a say short route east of Stavanger, called on the Hjelmeland route, as we call it. It is a triangle route. You see it in the picture. It's about 3-4 kilometers crossing each of the three routes. We can run it 100% on batteries. We can run it 100% on hydrogen. But if you take our solution now with what we put, this is the Orca solution from Corvus. If we fully charge them and do not charge them more, we can sail this ferry for say 3-4 hours before the batteries are empty. If we fully charge or fully load the liquid hydrogen storage on board, we can sail about 12 days, which is approximately 1,000 nautical miles. So this is the difference in the capacities between batteries and hydrogen. Of course, the hydrogen storage for this ferry is oversized, and of course we can fill the ferry with much more batteries on board. We have space for this, but the difference is even if we do that, if we downsize the liquid storage and upsize the battery storage, then still there will be a good say nautical mile difference between the two fuels. So this is where we are, what we're looking at and what we are experiencing now, and discovering the potential of liquid hydrogen-driven ships. Just a note in this, we are also working in a project together with Wilhelmsen with what they call the Topeka design, which is supposed to run between the offshore bases in Norway. And this is a large ro-ro vessel, and they have a design focus to be able to sail 400 nautical miles with this large ferry. So this and these car ferries that we're operating now in these sheltered waters, they are very efficient. They hardly use any power compared to ocean-going ships. So this must also be taken into account. And then just to I was asked to kind of what can we use Hjelmeland project? What can we use what we are doing now with hydrogen technology? In Norway, we are the largest operator of high-speed passenger ferries in Norway. So we have been developing a design together with LMG Marine, Selfa, and Hyon and Servogear, which is a futuristic as a vision for Westland County. We're also looking into, say, normal catamarans that are not as futuristic as this one. But basically, we are now taking our hydrogen technology knowledge and try to see how we can use this in a different ship type, such as high-speed boats. And here is a huge potential for the Norwegian maritime industry beside the car ferries. We often use the car ferries as the exploration ground, and then this technology, which we have seen with battery technology, is being exported to all kind of different ship types. So in this, we see a potential for the hydrogen technology to really have a kind of a similar impact as Corvus and the battery technology has given the west of Norway from Ampere and onwards. And secondly, this if politicians see this, this could be an intercity passenger transport system on the west of Norway. We can drive these 40 knots and create something that is unique zero emission and a highly robust transport system. And also the fast ferries will be the base for developing hydrogen industry in the west of Norway, which with the BKK project in Mongstad. We are working to create a liquid hydrogen refueling hub in the Bergen area, which also can be used for the say short sea shipping and different ship types. But working with this project and hydrogen technology ships, we clearly state that the cost of hydrogen needs to be reduced for widespread utilization. It is kind of it's a more challenge to introduce hydrogen than batteries, because with batteries we reduce the operation cost compared to diesel, and that's one of the reasons for battery ferries being a success. With hydrogen, we are increasing the cost with a factor of 2 or 3 compared to diesel. So that's clearly something to be looked into for the industry and politicians to look at, in order for hydrogen to be as much used as batteries are being used in shipping. Thanks for listening, and I guess Tone, you had some following up question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ivan. I was really impressed of your futuristic boat. What do you think? Will it ever be a boat for us, for an express boat, or what do you think?
Yeah, potentially. This is a foil boat that will lift the vessel out of the water. It is reducing the drag and the power consumption with about 40-50%. So certainly it should be worked with. We're also working with say a normal catamaran, which is what we see today, and to put the liquid hydrogen system on board a normal catamaran, and this is also possible. But the speed and the vessel, the experience for the passenger will be the same as today. It will be a bit more silent. We will not have any engine noise, and of course it will be zero emission. So that's we are working with both technologies to try to look at something we can do as of today, but then also what we can see of tomorrow.
Yeah, because when it comes to hydrogen, you for now are working with solutions for ferries and express boats, but when do you think these solutions also will be available for other ships types, like those sailing on the coast of Norway and in the North Sea? Do you have any expectation for that?
Yes, I'm a naval architect by heart and education, so I have been working with many ship types in my career. We developed the first LNG powered car ferries in Norway on Halhjem Sandvikvåg. I was working for LNG Marine. And I also, for many years, been working with Misha, the bulk operator here in Bergen, and kind of know them for a while. So I did a little case study for them because they're interested in zero emission shipping. So not to go into details, but to operate a 2-week round trip schedule for Misha is more a naval architecture challenge than anything else. To operate 2 weeks on a Mission bulk vessel, you need 3 of the liquid hydrogen storage tanks that you saw on the Hjelmeland ferry. This is approximate, say 4-ton capacity. They're about 10 meter long, 3 meter wide. So this is enough to fuel the Misha ships for 2 weeks. And the engine, to replace the diesel engine with fuel cells is a smaller task. We need 7 of the Ballard 200 kilowatt modules on board to run the ship. And of course, you need a kind of a good battery pack from Corvus to assist the fuel cells. So of course, this will have an impact on the vessel design and the operation of it, of course, but it's doable technically and operationally. But it's cost-wise, it's a no-go for mission because you cannot expect them to have 3 times higher fuel cost and then try to compete with the diesel-driven blue pods in the North Sea. That's not possible.
So you have to reduce the costs, and then there will be possibilities. So we think that this will come in the future.
Yes, of course, the prognosis for hydrogen cost is say, on the positive side. There are projects that are foreseeing and developments, say politically and with using natural gas with carbon capture storage that will say reduce the gap between diesel and hydrogen in the future. But this will take some time before this will happen. And the change will be not as imminent as we see with the battery-driven ferries.
So let's hope there are more projects coming out here in Bergen and in our region, so that we can follow up these things here and also get to know what kind of companies there are here that can be part of this evolution. So thank you very much, Ivar Nøstvik, and also thanks to Geir Bjørkeli and Geir Odland for interesting news about zero emissions shipping. If your companies are considering new opportunities in zero emissions supply chain, don't hesitate to contact us for further information about the region, about what we can guide you to, and we can also be your first point of contact if you are thinking about setting up a subsidiary here in our region. Thanks for joining the webinar today, and we'll be making a copy of this, and it will be available to you after the event is finished. See you soon.